Hi, and welcome to the Health Begins with Mom show. I am Dorit Palvanov, your host. On this podcast, I will share insights and interviews on health, parenting, and explore the question of what does it take to thrive as women, wives, and mothers. Now, let's get going with today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Health Begins with Mom podcast. This is Dorit Palvanov, your host. As you can tell, I am outside. I hope the sound is not too bad, but it's really beautiful here. It's Sunday morning, and I have this ritual of just leaving my family, my girls, with my husband, so that I can get some work done and also move my body. And so I'm in this beautiful park, and the weather is gorgeous. I think it's like 20 degrees, so finally I can go outside and enjoy a walk. And I'm next to a lake, and I see some geese and some ducks, and it's just beautiful and gorgeous. So today I wanted to talk about, I got inspired by listening to a podcast that I really like, and I wanted to talk about this because this topic repeats again and again and again in my coaching practice, and that is anxiety. Anxiety, feeling really anxious, and also her sister, and that is worrying about all the time and worrying about all the things. And it is a very, very interesting topic to me, because I also in my past had a lot of it. This is actually something that I'm not proud to admit it, but this is something I've kind of learned from home. My mom is a what should I call it? She's a chronic worrier. Like, she worries all the time about all the things, and it's almost like if you find my mom not worrying about something, you're lucky. I don't say this to shame her or anything like that. It's just I know that this is also just a pattern of behavior. It's a pattern of behavior that registers in our brain as something familiar, and then this becomes our go-to whenever we feel out of alignment, or maybe out of control, or like things are not the way we want them to be. So for me, I also, when I became a mom, obviously all of this got triggered and was turned on. And I struggled a lot. I struggled so much. And I feel like for me, because I was always interested in personal growth and consciousness and, just attending to the higher self and listening to the soul, I knew that this is not me. This is not who I am. This is not how I would like to think about myself and also be remembered by my kids. And it felt like it was a deeper, just a deeper problem, a deeper issue. And at the end, at the bottom of it all, when I started digging really deeper, and I worked with my coach, and I, worked through it in my journal, and had bajillions of conversations with coworkers and some colleagues and friends and people in my masterminds. At the end of it all, it really all got to one piece, and that is not feeling safe. Not feeling safe. not feeling supported, not feeling like you're held. I remember I used to say, I just want to know that everything is going to be okay. I just want to know. I just want to know that things are going to be okay. And I love how in today's podcast, the host said something that just clicked with me. So she said, anxiety is a false way of feeling control, a sense of control. And it's so true. It's so true. Because what happens is once we feel like we worry or we get anxious, it's almost like we have our guards up and we protect ourselves. And then we feel in control. But it's so delusional. It's so not productive because it doesn't heal anything. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't help with anything. And you end up just feeling worse, right? And it's like a loop. It loops and it loops and it doesn't. You don't get resolutions, and eventually, what happens is you just become more and more anxious, and you worry all the time, and then it becomes your identity. Like I know clients who tell me, I worry about this and I worry about that and I worry about my child that, she's going to do this and that's what's going to happen. And I worry that my husband is going to go through this. And I worry that for me, I'm going to get sick and then I'm going to get cancer and then the treatments are not going to work and then this and then that. And all of that, although in the moment it feels like you are kind of like thinking of the worst case scenario, and it may give you just a little sense of feeling like you are aligned, but at the end of it all, you're not. And so today I want to talk to you about how to start or begin cultivating that sense of it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And that is something that I learned that has to be cultivated internally, from the inside out, not from the outside in. The outside in meaning depending on other people or on, events or something external that will then make me feel better. It doesn't work, guys. It does not work. I've been in this trap of feeling really, really codependent. I can share with you, for example, that I grew up in a very traditional home. You guys know that I am. My roots are Russian, and then I lived in Israel for 15 years. So I'm Jewish. Now I live in Canada, and so I grew up in a home where, now that I think about it, it's kind of silly, but I grew up in a home where the ultimate blessing for a girl, and as you know, I come from a family of 3 girls. I'm the oldest. So the ultimate blessing for me, for all my sisters, was may you find a good husband. That was like the best ultimate blessing that we've received from our parents, our grandparents, and all the people who we were raised by. And that's beautiful. That's wonderful. I'm so lucky to have a really good husband. I feel like I found him. But then what happened was that I didn't even realize that the way I was programmed was that it's like my life, good life, has to come only through my husband. And so you can already see how that set me up for disappointment. Because what if I want more than my husband? Oh my gosh, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Right? And that, what if I don't want to be the housewife and, only worry about meals and changing diapers and dishes and laundry and all that. I mean, yeah, I absolutely value the family unit, but what if I don't want to be only immersed in that? And that's how it was for me for many, many, many years. And then I had learned to draw my sense of safety, my sense of belonging, my sense of feeling good in this life from my husband, right? But then what happened was that it's almost like in my head, he was not allowed to be human. Right? Because imagine what happens when he shows weaknesses, or that he is tired, or when he gets sick, God forbid. You know, it all becomes really, really like, what do you mean? Like, you know, you're supposed to make me this, right? And this, I don't think it only perpetuated in the kind of family dynamics that I grew up in. I mean, think about Disney. Think about all the, the stories that we tell to our children, with the princesses and the princes, and how you are going to be saved by this prince on the white horse, and he's going to come and he's going to kiss you, and you're going to be forever happy. Oh my God. I cannot even tell you how detrimental this is to the psyche of a growing girl. And even a boy, right? Because then it sets us up for being weak and helpless our entire life. And for boys who are growing up to be men, it sets them up for never showing weaknesses and always being strong. And it's like, and eventually, this is not, it's like, I've talked about it, I think last time. It's like we live our life from this one very superficial outer shell. And we just end up pretending for the most of our life. Most of our life we end up pretending like we know who we are, but actually we don't. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we're here to do. We don't have any emotional intelligence skills. We don't know how to connect deeply. We don't know. And all of those things are super important when we learn to cultivate that inner sense of safety, right? It's super important. For me, I've been struggling with this for years and years. When I felt out of alignment, when I felt like, my life is just, my world is crumbling, the first kind of go-to for me was my husband. Save me. I needed him to talk to me. I needed him to console me. I needed him to bring me back to alignment. And to tell you that had messed up our relationship, our marriage, would be lying to you. Because it did so much more. And I talk about, negative things that it had done. I know that the kind of relationship, kind of marriage that I wanted, that I have always craved for, was really strong and connected friendship. And I also wanted to be really attracted to my husband, and I wanted him to be attracted to me physically. I wanted him to desire me. I wanted to feel sexy. I wanted to feel like we can go through anything together, right? And I mean, I think you can kind of conclude yourself that when you are acting very, very insecurely and like you just cannot handle things on your own, right? I talked about this on the show. It's like you're afraid to leave the house. You're afraid to allow your husband to leave because you cannot handle the kids on your own, or you cannot handle this life on your own. And it's totally understandable, but ask yourself, how does this portray you in his eyes? Does he see somebody he wants to be somebody. Is this kind of behavior, in other words, is this kind of behavior something that is attractive? Is this something that you would want to be around? Right? Ask yourself. I know that for me, this is what is called, maybe in the mainstream world, like hanging out with energy vampires or energy suckers. And I was that person. I'm not happy to admit it, but it's part of my healing journey. I was that person, and it felt disgusting. It felt so bad, so bad. And I see it now. I see it in the ladies that I talk to, in the discovery calls, and I see this in my clients all the time. And so this sense of inner safety, inner security, a lot of the times I find that it's super important to go back to childhood. Go back to childhood, because where did all this start? It started from us, being a little girl who didn't feel safe, who didn't feel like she's loved, who didn't feel affection, either from her mom. Most of the times when it's when we're talking about relationships between husbands and wives, it's because of your relationship with your dad. I know in my situation, for example, my dad was always there. He was always there. It's just he never talked to us. Like, he was just always about logistics, and he was always about providing, and that was his responsibility. Like, he felt like this is what he needs to do, and he didn't have energy for anything else. So he would come home, he would just plug himself in front of the TV, and that's it. My dad didn't even know which grade I was at. And I remember, even as a little girl, it hurt me a lot. And I really craved a stronger relationship with my dad, because when I was little, and I was the first, my dad and I were very, very close. And then eventually, as I started growing up, our relationship became more and more distant. And so I knew that for me, that sense of safety, it started there. I felt really safe when my dad was around, when he hugged me and touched me and talked to me and played with me. And then slowly, I lost that. I started losing it. And so that is when this rupture started happening inside of my soul. Right? And then I tried mitigating it and healing it through very unhealthy relationships in my youth. And then, thank goodness, I met my amazing husband, my beautiful husband, such an amazing man. And the women that I work with are also married to really, really good guys. The majority of us we really have everything we need. We have, a good marriage, at least with a good potential, let's put it this way. We have, beautiful, healthy children. We have homes. We have jobs. We have everything we need. So then why are we so upset? Why are we not happy? Why do we feel like we don't have joy? And the reason is because I believe that we are looking for all the things outside of ourselves. We don't know how to cultivate this internally. And for me, one of those things, it was number one step when I started working on healing myself. You might hear the geese. It's so cute. They're mating. Anyways, where was I? So you might be feeling like you are, you want to heal, and you want to, to have that resolution inside of yourself, and you want to learn how to cultivate that feeling, but you don't know where to start. Do I need therapy? Oh my gosh, do I need to go through years and years of therapy and to spend thousands of dollars? How do I do this? Where do I start? So for me, I'm going to share what I have done. Hopefully it's going to be helpful for you. And And again, this is me. This is what had worked for me. Is this the ultimate way to get it? Absolutely not. We are all different. But I think from what I've heard out there, from what, from the clients that I've had, and from my colleagues and people who I know who do similar work, this is something that is very common in terms of, being on the path to healing. So number one for me was surrendering. It was a very dark place, in my life where I remember this. My third baby was 8 months old, so it was 2017, and it was June. Was it June? No, I think it was March. It was March of 2017. At that point, I was so starved and hungry and just so unhappy. Because I felt like I've tried everything. I've read all the books. I've listened to all the podcasts. And nothing changed for me. I needed an intervention. And so that was when I surrendered. And I said yes. Even though, oh my gosh, now that I'm thinking about this in retrospect, what was I thinking? I could not afford this. I don't know. I believe that it was just God who helped us to get through this hard time and to be able to afford this. So for me, surrendering looked like saying yes to help. Just reaching out for help. I remember filling out the application to work with my coach, and I've been listening to her podcast for years, I think for like 2 years prior. And I just, everything she said resonated with me, and I just had to surrender. I'm like, okay, I'm done. This is not healthy. This is not affecting, it's not good for my relationship with my husband. It's definitely not good for my relationship with my girls. I feel like crap. It's just not healthy. So for me, number one was surrendering and just saying, you know what, just guide me. Just tell me what to do. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to resist. I'm just going to follow. I'm just going to be a follower. I'm just going to be super coachable, and I'm going to do everything you say. And I did. I remember it was so hard because part of the program was learning to create a very solid morning routine. And for years, I have resisted waking up in the morning early. And so I did. So I started waking up at 6, and I started writing in my journal, and I just started following everything she said. And in the beginning, I felt like, what is this? This is bullshit. Like, what is this? What am I doing? It's not helping. I actually need help. Not realizing that this is how you heal. This is how you take back control over your own life and over your own feelings, right? Now, whenever I feel out of balance or out of alignment, this is the first thing I do. I reach out to my journal. And it's not that I write, dear diary, not like a 12-year-old girl. I actually write in my journal. I treat it as a portal to my higher self. I call this connecting with your inner wise mother. And I truly believe that from there, this is my deepest secret. This is how I take care of myself. This is how I cultivate a sense of safety. This is how I not feel worried, not feel anxious all the time. This is how I not allow myself to be swayed, in a million different directions. And this is how I create this sense of centeredness and grounding. Right? It's like if you think about your body And part of the embodiment work that I do with women is I help them to focus on their core. How is your core feeling, especially after having babies? That area of our body, it's weak. It has been weakened, right? The muscles are weaker. And I love how my yoga teacher says that our physiology is a reflection of our psychology. It's so true. So if you feel weak in your core, like you are, it's almost, for me, it felt like I feel like my pelvis, my pelvic floor is like falling out. It's that weak. This is how weak I was. And so I learned to do yoga and Pilates and strengthening my core more and more and more. And through that, I started feeling more and more grounded. Especially in yoga, there is this pose that is called Tadasana pose, which is mountain pose. And that pose, it's everything to me. It's everything we're talking about today. It's this learning how to live your life in this Tadasana pose, like being so strong and just knowing that everything is going to be okay. And you're going to be okay, and your kids are going to be okay, and your marriage is going to be okay. And even if something really, really bad is going to happen, you're still going to be okay. Okay? So for me, surrender. And then number 2 is journaling. Journaling in a way that helps me to access my inner wise mother. From there, I talk to her, and she mothers me. Right? I talked about this many times on the show here. To help yourself, when we are raising our children, when we're raising our families, we are not only raising them, we're actually more than anything, we're raising ourselves. We're mothering ourselves. And that sense of, oh honey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You know, I needed that. I needed somebody to talk to me like that. But again, this is the right, living from the external inside, from the outside in, versus I wanted to learn how to give this to myself. So I had to change. It was deep and hard work of rewiring my brain, of rewiring how I think and how I talk to myself. This internal voice that is very loud and very mean. Right? So now, whenever I feel like, this voice is again attacking me, the first thing I say is, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. Oh, honey, of course. You've been home with the kids for 3 days straight. You haven't had a good sleep. You haven't had a good rest. You haven't eaten anything that, is nourishing to you. Oh, honey, of course, I understand. This is how it feels. So there's nothing wrong with you, And then after you kind of get that resolution on an emotional level, then it's time for action, right? So then my inner wise mother will ask me, so then what do you need to do? What do you feel like you need? What do you need? What do you need? And sometimes I would say, I just need a break. And by that time I would be in tears, most likely. I just need a break. I just need a freaking break. I just need to breathe. I just need to be by myself without anybody climbing on me or touching me or poking me or asking me for things. Right? And then it's my responsibility to actually give this to myself. So now, for example, for me, Sunday mornings are my time. It's my time. So from 8 to 11 a.m., it's my time. I take this time to exercise. I take this time to walk. I take this time to get some work done. It's my time. But now it's already clear, like it's in the calendar. Everybody's very clear about that. But in the past, it wasn't like that. And I felt so guilty, especially because for me, my husband is self-employed. And I literally felt like I take out, because I take out of his time and he doesn't work during this time, I literally withdraw money from our bank account. Like, I actually felt that. I still do. But now I know that if I don't give this to myself, everybody's going to suffer. He's going to suffer. I'm going to suffer. The kids are going to suffer. I won't be able to create more and contribute to our financial piggy bank. And I want to. There's nothing that I want more. Right? And so for me, first and foremost is, oh, honey, I understand. And then what do you need? And then I ask, and then I'm clear with myself. This is what I need. I need time. I need to be by myself. I need to think. I need to move my body. I need to have a drink. I just need a glass of water. Right? And I've had some times when I wanted, it's not about, when we talk about radical self-care or self-care, a lot of the times, and a lot of you're asking me, so is it all about kind of being on your own and not living in partnership and never accepting help? Oh my God, of course not. Of course not. One of the things that I was going to talk to you about today that actually are so helpful, that is so helpful when it comes to mediating my anxiety levels, is asking for help. Asking for help and then being receptive to it, right? But I feel like in order to ask for help, you need to have that internal courage to say, you know what, I matter. I matter. And what I want matters too. And then being courageous to actually find and being resourceful and finding the people who can help you, right? Creating that tribe. It can be your husband, it can be your kids. Like for me now, it's my kids. They don't like it. They resist, but I enroll them and I get them to do things around the house because I need help, and I'm not yet able to afford a full-time housekeeper. Maybe one day, God willing, but not yet. And in the meantime, I believe that it's good for me, and it's also good for them because they're getting life skills. They're going to learn how to take care of themselves and how to do things and do stuff and take care of themselves. I think it's so important, right? So yeah, asking for help, and don't think that if you are starting to live that kind of life of, taking care of yourself, it's all about being self-reliant and not allowing others to help you. Of course not. But before you get somebody else to help you or give you or meet your needs, right, you need to know what your needs are. So I remember that there were times when I just felt like I want my husband to serve me, to make the what do you call it, a celery juice for me. I don't know, I feel, and I communicated it to him. I said, honey, I feel really loved when I come downstairs and the celery juice is waiting for me. Can you take care of that? So when I communicated it that way, as opposed to, can you make celery juice for me? Or make celery juice for me. What, you can't serve me? Like what, I don't deserve it? Like from that kind of like a negative place. No, I just told him, honey, I love you so much. And it would mean the world to me. And I feel so loved when you take care of me. So it would be amazing if, you can take care of the celery juice making in the morning. Right? Now, for me, I've just noticed that my mornings are so full and so go with the kids and the lunches and everything else and the breakfast that I just didn't have time to make myself the celery juice. And so I needed to figure out a way to still feed myself and still nourish myself. And celery juice is oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna, it's a completely different, it's a topic for a different podcast. But I feel so good when I drink celery juice, just straight up. Not, not mixed with anything else. I feel really, really good. And I just needed to figure out a way to get that kind of nutrition into my body daily. And so for me, this is how it looks like. I get my husband to do it. Maybe one day when my kids are old enough and I will trust them with the juicer, maybe they will do it. But anyways, this is the point. The point is learning what are those things that you need and then communicating them. And the way I talk about it in my practice is enrolling your loved ones into your health mission, right? Because people do want to support you. And you are a leader. And as a leader, it is my job to define the things that are needed and necessary for me and also for the household. And then getting very clear action tasks, right? I also talk about CCC, crystal clear communication. Communicating it, asking for it. Don't just assume that, that people understand you or they should know what you need. BS. I'm calling BS on that. Because that is basically, in my opinion, it's fear. And it's the opposite of being courageous. It's playing small. Right? It's being afraid of stepping out of this outer shell and saying what it is that you actually need. So girlfriend, this is how it's done. Is it easy? No. Is it simple? Yes, it is simple. But if it's easy, no, it's not. Are you capable of doing hard things? Absolutely, yes. I believe that we were built for hard things. So many times I hear women saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so hard." Right. But you're built for hard things. Don't forget that. You are built for hard things. You are built to do hard things. And then the last piece is, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, it's really living your life in alignment with your feminine current. Understanding your female body, understanding its rhythms, understanding what it needs in terms of nutrition, in terms of socialization, in terms of connection, in terms of sisterhood, in terms of what is your female body needs, right? So the understanding piece and then the using it, right? Actually putting it to action, organizing your life in alignment with your current. And that is magic. Hands down, this is magic. And that's what I do. That's what I teach. So if this is something that really speaks to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I need that she's talking about, this is what I need to learn to do. Because I've tried all the things and nothing works. I still feel anxious. I still I worry all the time. I don't feel like I take care of myself. I feel overweight. I feel bloated. I don't feel good in my body. And I also don't feel like I have that sense of joy. And I feel like I'm turned off. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel playful. I want to feel like I love my life again. I want to feel like I used to feel before I became a mom. All of this is possible. All of this is possible. But you know what I'm going to say, right? Choose yourself. Choose yourself first. Always. Always, always, always. And then you will see. And just watch. Just watch how everything falls into place. All right. So like I said, if this is something that is interesting to you, if this is something you are ready to exploring, then head on over to my website, www.healthbeginswithmom.com, and click on Let's Connect. It's one of the tabs. And in there, you will see, you'll have an access to my online scheduler, and you can book a time and we'll get on the phone and we'll talk. We'll see if we are a good fit. All right, my love. I hope this has been helpful. Find me over at Instagram. DM me. Ask me questions. I'm here to serve you. So on Instagram, you can find me by @healthbeginswithmom. All right. Sending you much love and healing, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Health Begins with Mom show. I love hearing from you, so please post your comments and questions over at healthbeginswithmom.com/podcast. If you love the show, please share it on social media and in your real life with other moms who might enjoy this content. And if you have a burning question or topic you'd like me to hit on the show, just drop me a line at dorit@healthbeginswithmom.com. And if you love this show and really want to support it, please go to iTunes, write a review, and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Much love and many blessings.